Yo, what's up? This your boy Donell Jones, and you are watching Terri T.V.
What's up, everybody? This is The Naked Truth with R&B great Donell Jones.
What's up?
How are you?
Awesome.
Great. I'm glad you're here. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Great. So we want to just literally jump right into this interview.
Let's do it.
So the first thing is, you're out of the south side of Chicago.
Yeah.
Your father's a gospel singer, right?
A gospel singer and a pastor. Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that's
Double
the fun.
Yeah.
So he's a
Yeah.
gospel singer and a pastor.
Yeah.
And then you have what the religious folks like to call secular music on the side of that.
Yeah.
So how did you combine these two, and what were some of your musical influences?
Well, I didn't sing in church.
Okay.
My dad didn't become a pastor until I probably was like maybe 11, 12 years old. So I really never sang in church. My inspiration came from my mother playing a lot of records.
Okay.
She played Michael Jackson, Stevie Wonder, the Isley Brothers,
Nice.
Gene Carn, Alicia Myers, Teddy Pendergrass, the OJs. I could go on for days, because she had a big record collection. So she just played records every day, every morning before we went to school.
Mm-hmm.
Come home from school, she playing records. So that's where I got my inspiration from.
Okay, so now at this point you have your musical influences.
Yeah.
At what point did you know that you can actually sing?
Well, my mom and dad said I was singing at the age of 5.
Okay.
I don't remember back that far, but I knew I could sing when I probably was maybe 10 or 11 years old.
Okay.
My mom bought me a keyboard and she bought me this cassette player that had tape deck on this side and this side. So I was singing on this side and then record myself in harmony and flip it back.
Nice.
So I kind of knew, something was there around that time. Yeah.
Okay. So you were under the Untouchables
Yes.
and LaFace.
Yes.
So how was that relationship with those two labels together?
It was incredible. Because
Yeah.
when Eddie went to play my music for L.A. Reid,
Okay.
L.A. wife heard it, Pebbles,
Mm-hmm.
and she was like, "Yo, you need to probably sign this kid, man. He sounds
Right.
pretty good." And they had already known that I had wrote songs for Usher. So when I went to meet him, I sung for him. He was like, "Yo, dude, I love it. Come back with a finished album. We want to put you out." So that's how I got my deal with LaFace Records. But being on LaFace Records was a little difficult for me because I wasn't signed directly to them. I was
Right.
an Untouchables artist.
Right.
So it was almost like I was the stepchild.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh no.
I loved the opportunity that I got, but at the same time, you could tell there was a difference.
Right.
Which it didn't bother me. It didn't bother me because it didn't matter.
Yeah.
My music spoke for me, So
Exactly.
Yeah.
So speaking of music, you had this dope ass album that I still actually listen to this day.
Appreciate it.
It resonates. For me, this album feels like a journal to the inner thoughts of a man that's going through head over heart decisions, love, sex, relationships.
Yeah.
And it's still relevant to this day. I feel like dating in 2020 steps on this album completely.
Well, for me, shortly after my first album, I felt like LaFace Records could have promoted the album more. And I felt like I wanted to make sure that this particular time around, that they couldn't fuck up the project. So I wanted to go, my mindset was to go in and make sure that every song sounded like a single.
Right.
So no matter what they put out, it would be okay.
Right.
And by doing that, that's how we created, where I want to be. I think the first song I recorded was I Want to Love You.
Yeah, my favorite.
I had originally wrote that song for Sherry Dennis.
Oh, wow.
And
Okay.
and she ended up going off to sign with Puff Daddy and them. So
Okay.
I ended up keeping the song for myself. Thank you
Yes.
for doing that.
Thank you, Sherry. Song is dope.
And I think the second song I did was Think About It.
Mm-hmm. Now, from a personal perspective, right? This album, like I said, it seems like it was your journal, and we were literally in your head.
Everything about that album, I lived it. I was living it at the time.
Okay.
Like songs like, especially Where I Want to Be.
Right.
I was in a relationship with my children's mom.
Okay.
We were very young when we had our children, and when I started to become famous, my life changed. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Now I'm getting hit up with all these females that probably wouldn't even talk to me.
Right.
So my life started to change in that aspect, and I kind of, my ego grew. Kind of got a little big headed, you know, start
You a
feeling
Gemini?
myself a little bit.
You a Gemini.
You know, so I
Right.
was living that, and you know, I wrote that song because I didn't know how to tell her.
Yeah.
So I wrote a song about it.
Okay.
You know, and that's usually how I do it. If you listen to all my albums from whatever era, you can tell exactly what I'm going through at the time because I always put my life in my work.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Life
and
goes
that
on.
one, yeah, that one had You Know That I Love You.
Yes.
It had a few joints on that particular record. LaFace only released one single off that album. That's why I was kind of a little bit upset with them.
Okay.
Because I felt like, you know, they could have did more. We ended up selling gold with that particular project. But it had some awesome songs on there. It had Where I Want to Be Part 2
Yes.
was on there. Life Goes On, the song about being locked up in jail. I feel like, you know, when I'm writing my music, I'm really trying to, if it's something I didn't go through,
Right.
I'm trying to speak for some people who can't, you know, speak for themselves.
Right. And you did a great job at doing that.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's talk about the very first major label signing to all the way to your last major label album. You had a lot going on in between that time frame.
Yeah. My first, when I signed with LaFace was the first.
Right.
And then I only signed one time. What ended up happening was LaFace Records shut down the first time, and then all the artists got shifted to Arista Records.
Gotcha.
And it wasn't like a big change because, you know, L.A. Reid he was the president of LaFace Records, and he just became the president of Arista. So nothing really changed.
Gotcha.
It changed when Arista shut down, and then all the artists got shifted to Jive Records. Because, you know, now I'm already on the label with Usher,
Right.
Sam Salter, there was other few guys that was TLC, Tony Braxton, all these people. But I went to a label that had R. Kelly, Joe, Justin Timberlake.
Right.
They had just signed Chris Brown. Then you pick up me, Usher. So it was, the competition had really grew.
Right.
And I wasn't a priority at LaFace at the time. So now I'm going to a record label where I'm definitely not the priority.
Yeah.
So I mean, at that particular time was when, you know, my life started to take a downhill, you know, spiral. You know, I became very depressed.
Right.
Because I didn't like the situation I was in. I knew I was talented, and the music that I make was great music. But it's almost like, you know, if nobody knows it's out there, then, you know, it doesn't do anything.
Exactly.
So, you know, I had a bout with alcoholism at that particular time.
Okay.
And, you know, God's grace brought me out of it. You know,
Okay.
finished that album and Journey of a Gemini and everything else changed.
Nice.
Yeah.
Special Girl is definitely my favorite.
Yes.
7 is your lucky number. Did you know that?
I didn't know that. I thought 11 was my lucky number, but I'll take either one. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
I'm thinking 7 is your lucky number
Yeah, I'll
because
take
it's some type of synchronicity that's going on there,
Yes,
right?
yes,
7
yes,
years,
yes,
you haven't
yes.
made your last album.
Yes.
This is your 7th album,
Yes.
right?
I'm doing 7 songs.
7 songs.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
third synchronicity there.
Yeah.
So tell us, what have you been doing in that 7-year time frame? I know
Well,
you've been working with John Quiso.
Yeah, I did a song with John Quiso.
Okay.
When I met the young brother, he asked me to come to the studio and
Yeah.
listen to his music. I didn't know who he was at first, but you know, my business partner was like, "Yo, this young guy, he wants you to meet him." So I heard his song, found out who he was, went to meet him, and he was like, "Yo, big bro, I'm happy to meet you. I want you to do a song like your stuff. I want it
Right.
to sound like yours." So I did a song called 23 with him, and it was a pretty good record. So it took me after I recorded that album, and then I recorded the album Forever. It actually took me 7 years to actually drop all the things. I was addicted to a lot of things, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Social media, sex, alcohol,
Yeah.
smoking cigarettes, a lot of weed. You know, I was addicted to a lot of things that I had to really let go.
Right.
So it actually took me those 7 years, and this year was the year that I felt like, I started feeling good. Like, yo, now it's time to do something. Now it's time to put some music out. Let's talk about, you know, what you've been through.
You're 100% free.
Yes, all the way.
That's
all
the
way.
7th album name.
Yes.
How are we feeling about it now? Like, you've already heard it. We haven't heard it
I
yet.
feel incredible.
But how do you feel about it?
I'm loving it.
Okay.
I'm loving it because the process for this particular album is different. I didn't want to just make an album and just have it sitting around.
Right.
I wanted to go to the deadline. Like, okay, we We got this time right here. We got this amount of time to get this stuff
Right,
done.
right.
Okay, I'm gonna do it just like that.
Now, is it classic Donell Jones that we know of?
Everything I do is classic.
Oh, yeah.
I can't. I mean, I can
You
only
are
be
very
me.
classic.
I can only be. Seriously,
But is
I
it
can
something
only
that
be
we
me.
can? Is it something that we can resonate with and say, yeah, that definitely is Donell Jones?
Yeah. I mean, well, as soon as you hear me, you would understand that.
Okay.
I won't change my style for anybody. What I'll do is, I'm today.
Okay.
And you'll hear Donell Jones today. I won't ever try to recreate something I did because I feel like, if you want to hear that, it's already been made. Go listen to that.
Okay.
But what you will hear, you will hear Donell Jones as he is today.
Okay.
Yes.
So you provided us with the exclusive rights to listen to this new single that you have.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and try to play it.
Okay. Let's try it.
Like, we want to hear it.
Okay.
You gotta know that it's over. I gave all of me. My heart is empty. You gon' get this karma. Nothing karma. You end up losing everything you love. You about to get it. Every single dude from every single dude.
Okay, so any words of encouragement for somebody that's in a back-ended contract, someone that's not in the right contract, how do they get out of it and become independent?
I would say ride it out.
Okay.
Always give your best. Don't, even if you're in a bad situation and you got another project to do, give your best. You know what I'm saying? Make sure you make sure your fans appreciate you. Never shortchange yourself. Just ride it out, and when it's over, you'll be free. You'll be able to do whatever you want to do.
Nice. Okay, so where can we hear this single? I know we're exclusively giving everybody the single today, but when is the single going to be out?
You'll be able to download it from my website,
Okay.
DonellJonesMusic.com. And in a couple of days, it'll be on all the streaming services,
Okay.
Yeah, so you'll be able to listen to it, do what you need to do.
Nice.
Have fun.
Where can we follow you on social media?
My Instagram is Donell Jones Forever. My Facebook is Donell Jones Music.
Okay.
My Twitter is Donell Jones 96. I don't know why I got all these different names.
I don't know why either. How do you keep up with all of that?
I mean, it's hard.
I can imagine so. Any last words for your fans, for people that are watching this right now on live? Anything you want to say? The floor is yours.
I would say, look, I love y'all so much. Thanks for rocking with me for all these years. I'm going to keep doing this thing because I love it so much, but I'll never stop if y'all keep listening. You know what I'm saying?
Oh.
Also, look, we in the world right now. We're going through a lot of things out there. I'm doing this project for you. Just remember, we need to strive to be better people, live a better life, drop a lot of our addictions that we have. Just, if you can, man, just look in the mirror and find out what it is about you that you don't like and fix it.
Amen. Amen to that. Thank you so much, Donell, for blessing us with not only the new single, but for this interview. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Just a bonus question for you. Have you ever thought about or had the idea of making a compilation album with other Chicago-based artists?
I would love to. I absolutely thought about just making an album where I produce all the songs and get my favorite artists to sing them.
Right.
Not per se Chicago, but that would be a great idea.
Yeah.
But I've always wanted to do a Quincy Jones type of project.
Nice.
Where I produce everything and have other people sing my songs, which hopefully I'll get a chance to do that.
Then it's over. I gave all of me. My heart is empty.